I'm going to show you how I make sourdough bread. I've been making it almost 5 years and using the same starter for almost 5 years. So I'm just going to show you all the steps I take uh, to make good sourdough bread every single time. What I'm doing now is taking the starter out of the refrigerator. It's almost 5 years. I've used the same jars and the same starter. I never have washed this container. I think it's a good idea. It just keeps that natural yeast. Look at the consistency of that. The flour, let me talk about that. I think the best flour is King Arthur. It's fine ground, it's consistent, it's expensive, but look at Walmart for a good price on that. But it's a really good flour. So the first thing I'm going to do is build up the starter. I'm going to add, I don't know, maybe a third to half a cup of flour in there, and then equal amount of water till I can kind of feed the starter so the yeast starts to grow. So I get that kind of the same consistency with the flour and water and build it up. So I maybe have a cup and a half, 2 cups, maybe a cup and a half to 2 cups. Now I'm going to take this starter and loosely cover it up and put it in the oven. I have an oven that has a bread proof setting, which is really nice. It keeps it at a low level. It's perfect. It's called bread proof. I'm going to put it there. And notice it's about 9:30 in the morning. If you don't have that, put it in a warm place. Notice now it's about 3 hours later, about 12:30. I'm taking it out, and here's what it looks like. It's just bubbling like crazy, and it's not double its size, but it's certainly increased in size and volume, and that's perfect. I'm going to take at least a cup of the starter out and put it in my mixing bowl. Sometimes if I've got a good buildup of starter, I'll take a little extra just to give it a little boost. So I might take another third of a cup or so if I've got enough starter. And I'll add that in there too. Notice that consistency is pretty loose. Now what I'm going to do is go back to the starter again and build that up maybe with a third cup, equal amount of water, kind of feed that starter before I put it back in the refrigerator. Now I put the lid on pretty tight and put it in the fridge. I've got a great towel I wanted to share with you. It's called a Polite House Turkish towel. It's on Amazon, and it's really absorbent. It's a fantastic towel for cleanup, really soft, absorbent. Now I'm back to my mixing bowl. Starters in there. I'm going to add 3 cups of flour. 3 cups to that starter that I already put in there, and 1.5 cups of water. I use spring water, but you can use whatever water you want. Then I start mixing it at the lowest speed. And I get a consistency. It looks something like that. Now what I'm going to do is add honey in there. I use just a cheap honey for baking. And I'll put 4 squirts. I used to measure all this out, but not anymore. I'm running out there, but it doesn't have to be exact. I put what I call 4 nice squirts of honey, and then 2.5 teaspoons of salt. I don't really measure it too exact, but mix it all up, lowest setting. Then what I'm going to do is take 2 more cups of flour. Now that's 5 cups of flour plus the starter. And get a good consistency. Sometimes you need to add a little, sprinkle a little more in there because you don't want it too sticky. So sometimes I say, it's a little too sticky. I don't want to stick into the side of the bowl. I want it more doughy. So sometimes I sprinkle, try to adjust it so it's more of a doughy consistency and not real sticky. Once I have that, I put it in a bowl and kind of round it out, flatten it out fairly a good amount. Now I'm going to cover it up with another one of my nice Turkish towels from the Polite House. And then let this thing rise. I'm putting it in my oven on that bread-proof setting. And I'm going to let it stay in here and let it rise for a few hours. Now, notice it's about 1:15 p.m. Now, at about 5:30 or so, it has risen. Notice it's kind of doubled in size pretty much. I cut it in half with a knife and then try to get it out of that bowl best I can. And then I kind of form it on a pan with parchment paper under there. Kind of form loaves, 2 loaves, and get those nice and consistent. Cover it up with another one of my Polite House Turkish towels. Notice it's 5:45. I let it rise a few hours. It's about 8 o'clock there now. And look what happened. Nice, rose up and looking really good. Ready to bake. I put it in the oven. And I put the oven on 410 degrees for 25 minutes. I mean, I've done this enough that I don't even check it. 410, 25 minutes in my oven is perfect every time it comes out. Here we go. It's done. A little, just slightly brown. Very slight brown color. But it's totally cooked. What I do is add some butter on there. Just a small amount. I kind of spread it out and cover it with butter. Then I cut it up, and what I do is I cut it in each loaf in half and put it in a quart bag and freeze it. Comes out perfect. And there you have it. Sourdough bread, perfect every time.